My neighbor's dog hasn't stopped barking for 3 days. But here's the thing. My neighbor doesn't own a dog.
You hear that too, right? That barking?
It's coming from inside his house, but he swore he's never had a pet.
The sound wasn't just barking, it was wrong. Too deep, too human.
I went over there last night, knocked on the door, the barking stopped. Then I heard something else. Laughing.
The next morning, the neighbor's curtains were gone. Just black plastic taped over the windows.
You think he's hiding something in there?
I don't know, but the barking's louder now, and it's not just one voice anymore.
We should call the police.
The police never came. Instead, the neighbor knocked on my door at 3 a.m.
You gotta help me. They're in the walls.
Who's in the walls?
The things that bark.
That's when the scratching started, from inside my house.
Oh God, it's in here too.
No, it's not scratching, it's digging.
The floorboards splintered. A wet, panting breath rose from below.
They're not dogs. They just sound like dogs.
Then what are they?
The first set of fingers pushed through the cracks. Too long, too many joints.
Run.
But the front door was already locked from the outside.
They don't want us to leave. They want us to listen.
And then, from every corner of the house, the barking began.
Did it just say my name?
No, it's repeating what we're saying.
The fingers kept pushing through the floor, then an arm. Too thin, too many elbows.
They're learning
Learning what?
how to sound like us.
The neighbor's face twisted into something between a grin and a snarl.
They don't bark at strangers. They bark at family.
What the hell does that mean?
The neighbor's mouth opened too wide, a sound came out. Not a bark, not a laugh.
It means they've been here before.
That's impossible.
The walls pulsed, like something breathing behind the drywall.
Then why do I recognize that voice?
The barking shifted, became a whisper, a child's voice.
That's my little brother. He died when I was 8.
They don't just mimic, they remember.
The floor split open. A hand, slick and black, reached up.
We have to get out, now.
The neighbor grabbed her arm. His fingers left bruises in the shape of teeth.
Too late, you already let them in.
And then, from the darkness below, something whispered back in perfect English.
We've missed you. Don't turn around.
Why? What do you see?
In the reflection of the broken window, I saw them. Dozens of them, standing perfectly still in the shadows of the room.
They've always been here, watching, waiting for us to notice.
It's not possible. I would have...
The neighbor's head snapped toward her. His eyes were gone, just smooth skin where they should be.
You did notice. Every time your hair stood up for no reason. Every time you woke up at 3:17 a.m. That was them, practicing.
Practicing what?
The neighbor smiled. His teeth were flat, like a human's teeth had been filed down.
Practicing being us.
The barking, it wasn't a warning.
From the hole in the floor, a hand emerged. Then a face. My face, but wrong. The mouth moved first.
We're hungry.
The neighbor leaned in close. His breath smelled like wet earth and copper.
You know what happens next. You've always known.
Behind him, the shadows moved, standing up, walking forward, each one shaped almost, but not quite, like a person.
Oh God, they're wearing our skin.
Not wearing, becoming.
The first one reached for me. Its fingers were warm, familiar.
Welcome home.
See, you fit perfectly.
Above me, I watched as something wearing my face turned to my screaming friend. Its mouth stretched into that same terrible smile.
Don't worry, you'll like it here.
The floorboards sealed shut. The house fell silent. Outside, the neighbor's curtains fluttered open for the first time in weeks. I wasn't supposed to open the door, but when I heard my dead wife's voice on the other side, I had no choice.
Sarah, is that really you?
Let me in, baby. It's so cold out here.
Her voice was perfect, the same soft tone, the same little crack when she said baby, but Sarah had been buried 6 months ago.
It isn't possible. You're not real.
Open the door, and I'll prove it. I'll show you I'm real.
My hand hovered over the lock. Every cell in my body screamed not to do it. But my heart turned the knob.
Oh, God.
The door creaked open, and there she was. Pale skin, dark hair, the same dress she'd been buried in. But her eyes...
Miss me?
Her eyes were black. Not just the pupils. The entire thing, like 2 holes ripped into the universe.
What are you?
I'm your wife.
She stepped forward. The smell hit me first. Rotting flowers, wet earth. The stench of something dug up.
Stay back.
You let me in. You always let me in.
Her fingers brushed my arm. Cold. Too cold. Like touching meat straight from the freezer.
Please, just leave.
But I came all this way. Don't you want to know why?
Her lips curled into a smile, too wide, too many teeth.
Why?
Because you didn't bury me deep enough.
And then she lunged.
Sarah.
You left me down there, in the dark, with them.
Her breath smelled like wet soil and something worse, something alive, squirming deep underground.
I didn't know it didn't.
You lied. You said it was just a dream.
My vision blurred. Spots danced in front of my eyes as her grip tightened. Then...
Hey, what the hell's going on in here?
My neighbor stood in the doorway, bat in hand.
You.
Sarah's head snapped toward him, her neck bent too far, like a broken doll's.
What the...
She let go of me. In one motion, she was across the room, her fingers wrapping around his throat instead.
Do run.
He swung the bat, it passed right through her. Like she wasn't even there.
Too late.
His scream cut off with a wet crunch. Then silence.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
Now it's just us again.
She turned back to me, her mouth stretching wider and wider.
What do you want?
You know what I want.
She reached into her own chest, through skin, through bone, and pulled something out.
No.
My wedding ring, dripping black.
You forgot this.
She stepped closer. The walls around us started to bleed.
You promised forever.
You did promise.
Her fingers stretched toward my face. The wedding ring in her palm pulsed like a rotten heart.
Sarah, I buried you where you asked, under the willow tree by the...
Not deep enough.
The lights flickered. Shadows slithered up from the floor, wrapping around my ankles like roots.
What's happening?
They're coming up with me.
The walls cracked. Dozens of skeletal hands clawed through the plaster, dirt raining from their bones.
Who...
The others you forgot. The ones before me.
A woman's skull pressed through the ceiling, her jaw unhinging with a sick pop.
You said you loved me too.
I don't even know you.
Liar.
The ring in her hand began to scream, a high, wet sound, like a dying animal.
Make it stop.
It only stops when you come with us.
The hands dragged me down. The floor wasn't wood anymore. It was soil, loose and hungry.
No.
Shh, just close your eyes.
The last thing I saw? Her smile, and the hole where her heart should have been.
We'll dig much deeper this time.
Above me I heard the scrape of a shovel, the muffled sound of laughter,